Welcome to Entreprogrammers Podcast, the podcast for developreneurs, the podcast where you get to be a fly on the wall listening to real conversations of three developers trying to tackle the challenges they face as entrepreneurs.
All right, we're live.
Yay, live.
We all have our shirts on though. So
Hey, I was just about to say that. I did a second. After that first one, I told you guys last week, I did the let's take our shirts off and talk about the shitstorm on my YouTube channel. So I was like, man, I should do, like, I had like 4,000 views on that video in like a matter of days. Like, it was one of my most popular. So I was like, you know what?
And we looked at the keyword traffic, and it was all coming from let's take our shirts off. So
so I was like, every Thursday, maybe I should do a live, Thursday night, let's take our shirts off and talk about X. And so last night I did, let's take our shirts off and talk about what's stopping you from achieving success. And it went pretty well. I got a ton of people that were tipping me, throwing cash. I think got like $60 or $70 in tips.
John takes his shirt off for tips. Here we go.
You can do like the super chat where they they pay a certain amount of money and then they answer your question. And so I did that.
Do you have to accept that money, or does it just like go into Google Wallet, or what?
It just goes right into the Google, like the AdSense, basically. Like it counts as like transaction revenue on your account. So so it goes right into Simple Programmer, and then. Someone was saying on that, they said that I should set up a Twitch channel because they have this IRL in real life Twitch channels. And so you can like pay monthly. Yeah. Oh yeah, Josh, when we were talking about membership, I forgot to discuss that too, because that might be an interesting thing. So I was going to look into that and see, because that would be interesting, because one thing that they're suggesting was when I'm recording my daily videos to just do it live on Twitch. People can pay,
and that way people can get it off, get the raw version of it before Rodrigo does his magic.
Exactly. But yeah, I really like
videos. Really would start at 0.0 then.
Exactly. But I really like the live stuff. The live, it's been pretty fun. I like doing the live event. It's pretty fun actually. Like I said, I enjoy it, and I think and people are super excited about it when I do it. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Making a note about this.
Yeah, I need to go in on that video and put in shirt comes off at 0:00.
There you go. Nice. John, that would be a cool idea then, possibly for the membership thing, would be, what if you did all your videos live on, or like the majority of them live on as Facebook Live videos or something?
Oh, that's interesting. Like when I'm recording,
then it would be private in the group, and they'd get like immediate access to it, and it would be raw and uncut, and that could be exciting for people. Yeah, or maybe you do a portion of them that way or something.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. That would work. I wanted to figure out how to simulcast. I've got like some broadcasting software like QB, I don't know, what is it? Or B, I don't know. What the heck is that broadcasting software? There's OBS Studio is what I've been using. But you can have multiple streams and stuff. But I think you can go to multiple. So I'd like to simulcast. I think Grant Cardone's doing it with his stuff. So go to Facebook Live, go to YouTube, go to Instagram or whatever at the same time, and then some kind of workflow around that so that content gets captured and broadcast out. But yeah, live is fun. I like to do live, and I like to take my shirt off. So good combination.
There you go.
I'm thinking, it's also what would be cool is that, have you seen the Between Two Ferns with Zach Garnafagas, or I can't remember how to say his last name. You know what I'm talking about? Between Two Ferns.
I do not.
Like this little parody like thing where he like interviews people. He actually had like Obama on there, and then he basically like make rags on them, or like it's like he's doing a serious interview. almost like one of those like public broadcasts is almost right.
Okay.
So I'd like to like, it'd be kind of cool if the let's take our shirts off and talk about got to kind of a level of popularity where I would invite guests on the show. Right? And then it's like, all right, we take our shirts off and we talk about your latest book launch. You know what I mean?
How could this possibly go wrong? Let's see.
This is, oh my gosh, this is going to be a tough sell, man. Like, you'll have to sell them on the interview first, and then oh, by the way, there's a catch.
Well, see, the thing is, it has to become a popular thing,
yeah.
right? Where people are like, because this is a unique thing, right? And so it has to reach a level of popularity where you want, like, it's like you want to be on the "Let's Take Our Shirts Off" show, you know, and talk about, because it's like it's a milestone in your career where you've you know come and taken your shirt off and talked. So so we'll see if it catches on.
It's like the TED Talks of the simple programmer world.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like exactly. So, yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. So what's up with you guys?
What's up, Josh?
I'm catching up on sleep here. I was in Wisconsin for the Perry Marshall roundtable meeting this week, and didn't get in till 2:30 on Thursday, I guess. So yeah, still dragging a little bit here, but it ended up being really productive, and I got a lot of clarity coming out of it, and basically got my butt kicked that I need to get in gear and finally launch figure out our membership program, which honestly, like, part of the reason why I realized that I've kind of had this on the to-do list for a long time, but I haven't really pulled the trigger on it yet because I'm just honestly kind of afraid of it. Like, I've just been involved with a lot of projects trying to sell membership, and I know that it's not the easiest thing in the world to do. So I'm gonna have to, but I think we have the critical mass now to be able to do it, and so, you know, I need to just step up to the plate and actually start to put this in place. And the other challenge is to try to figure out how to do it so that it doesn't become we don't want it to be like a huge content creation nightmare where we end up spending all of our time creating content just to feed this membership program.
Right.
So that's what I'm working on right now, is outlining the pieces of that. And I also realized that I've been spending a lot of time reading like testimonials, customer feedback, book reviews, like all the stuff that our customers are generating, telling us about our products and what they like and what they don't like. And one of the things that's come out to me became really really apparent to me this week is that what we do best is like we tell people, we point it off into the distance and tell people this is where you want to go, and then we kick their ass every time they get lax about actually getting there. Because typically what like our best testimonials are like, you kept me, John, you kept me going for the last 3 years through all this stuff while I figured out what I needed to do to finally get to where I wanted to be. And I think like that's the core of what we do really, really well. And I mean, basically what we sell is kind of like direction, motivation, inspiration. Like that is like, I think that's like our strongest point. And so and for me, the way I'm wired is I'm wired to want to, the stuff that I'm naturally inclined to sell is more like paint by numbers solutions to problems, which is the opposite of the strengths that John has built into the audience.
Right.
And so I'm trying to reorient my head around like, how do we sell, how do we use John's strengths the best with, and still provide some of that hand holding that people need without creating a big nightmare for ourselves.
Right.
And yeah, so I think I'm going to be trying to work with people that are doing, that are providing professional services in a specific area. Like I want to do a webinar on how to choose your specialty, your specialization as a software developer. And there's a guy I know, Philip Morgan, who I've reached out to. I'm just kind of early stages of talking with him about possibly doing this. But so, John can host this webinar for our new membership program, where we're going to have, he's going to sell kind of the big idea. Like, this is why it's important to specialize. This is, this is what it means for you. This is what happens when some of our members have, or some of our, some other simple programmer fans have specialized. This is what they've been able to do. And then Philip has this like really detailed roadmap that he's developed through coaching all these people just on this one specific thing. So I can bring him in, and that way we're not like, I'm not on the hook to try to develop some of that detailed level content, but we can provide that value and still, and then we can kind of use John's motivational ability to get people to actually take action on it.
I like it.
So yeah, so I think I think that what I'm going to be doing then for the next few weeks is going to be we're going to be defining what this membership offer is going to look like, and then building it into our existing funnels. John, we didn't talk about this yet, but I'm thinking for this, I kind of want to not do a big launch right out of the gate.
Right.
I think I just want to
thing first.
Yeah, I think I just want to like just roll it out, like just stick it in the funnels.
Yeah.
And just have some people start trickling into it, and then we can build up, like we can do the webinar, like we could do a monthly push every month where we get people into it through like a webinar type of like a one-time event, and then in 6 months or so, when we've got all this content we've created, we have everything really fleshed out, then we do a big launch and we double the price or triple the price or whatever, and get a whole bunch of people into it.
I agree. That makes sense, because it's different than a product launch, because a product launch, you put it out there and then, you sell a bunch of it, and then someone calls you up and says, you fucking stole my course. Right.
Right.
And you deal with the aftermath and the shit, and it's done. It's done.
Right.
It's buried. Right. It's over. But with a membership site, it's sort of like, hey, let's be boyfriend, girlfriend.
Right.
And then you're like, oh, yeah, my life is kind of complicated right now. Right? It's like you can't really have that level of commitment thing, and then you're not like we're not 100% committed to this yet, right? Because we want to see how this plays out. We want to see if people actually take the uptake. If we do this big launch and we're like, no, seriously, this is it. This is the membership. This is it. Like, you got to join this thing now, because and then we lose all credibility when we shut it down a month later. Because
who did this? Who did exactly that is Ben Settle.
Yeah.
He did like 2 years ago. He did this big. He hates people. Like, he's like the ultimate introvert. So he hates any kind of hassle or anything. And he did this really successful product launch for a membership site, and it was like the most successful thing he ever did. And then he shut it down like 2 weeks later.
He just didn't want to do it.
Yeah, he just decided he didn't want to do it. So it's really embarrassing.
But if we get people, we test it out for, I totally agree with that strategy. Yeah. And we can still do our bigger launches for our other stuff in the meantime. Yeah. And then once we got this thing rolling. Oh, the other thing I was thinking about as you were just saying that is, before we get launch on this, we do have to finish the cutover to Thrivecart to get off as AXA.
What I was thinking is I can, I'll do that as part of this. Like, as I'm doing, I can, because I need to create the upsells and everything anyway.
Yeah.
So what I could do is set up, because the blogging workbook funnel is already on Thrivecart. Yep. I could figure out what it's going to look like and set it up there. And then as I bring the other ones over, finally, I can just very easily set those, because you define, like in Thrivecart, you define upsells and downsells, and they're like you have to set all that stuff up. And since I'll be doing it anyway. It'll be real easy to just implement it. So for the other ones, cool. But yeah, we don't want any upsells we don't want any of that stuff on Zaxa.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And that
was actually one of the reasons why we haven't done this so far too, is that we just weren't really confident, because we knew we didn't want to stick with Zaxa long term, but we weren't 100% confident in. We didn't know what platform we were going to commit to. So now we've got our own membership site. We've got ThriveCart, so we've got the tools in place to actually take advantage of it.
Yeah, we also need to get the video.
You guys keep talking about ThriveCart, and so I went to sign up, and apparently it's still in beta and invitation only.
Oh, yeah. It's really easy to get invitation.
Yeah.
Well, I put my email address in. I still haven't heard anything. So
okay. All right. I think somebody sent us an invitation.
Yeah. I think Rob Connor did, actually.
Yeah.
So we can probably figure out how to send an invitation or something. Or we could just email them and say.
It looks really good. But anyway.
But the other thing with that too is we need to get the video streaming working too on the membership site, so that we.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Our Amazon bill was almost $900.
Ooh! Wow.
Yeah.
The price of success, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So we need to get basically, because basically, if you have it set up to download, people download it right away, and then they may or may not watch it. But you're paying either way, and probably 80% or 90% of them don't watch it or watch all of it.
Right.
So we could probably cut our bill down to like $100 a month if we made it all streaming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's. So yeah, so we need to do that, and then also it's just better too, just for the user experience, I think, and then also the ability to upsell within the. So that's the other thing, is like one of the big benefits of the membership, which I was talking to Manny about this a lot, because he's having a lot of success with this, is that when people are watching the video, you have an advertisement for another course there, right? On that page. Nice. Yeah. So you can upgrade, or it's locked and you can unlock that, right? I mean, and you can see, because you can see all the stuff that you own there. And so the more that they're going back, like if they download the course from the membership site, it sort of defeats the purpose of having the membership site, because they don't have to go back. But if every time they want to watch a video, they have to go back in and log in, and you have a chance to sell them something else, right? You're going to have, I think he said he gets a 20% repurchase on his rate on all of his customers. So that's good. I mean, if you we're at maybe like 4 or 5%, I think, last time we checked, on people that have bought multiple products, or it depends on the product.
That's about right.
But if we could get something like a 10 or 20%, it's well worth it. So.
The other thing we need to do is set up some email sequences to drive people back to the membership site. So drip, like when you sign up for the digital toolkit, there should be a 5 or 10 day drip sequence behind that pitches you on parts of of actually consuming the content.
Yeah.
And then, and et cetera, with all the courses.
Yeah. Right. But yeah, that's a good opportunity to sell again. So, and then you can also have the t-shirt and stuff like that in there, and, just whatever. So.
Nice.
Yep. So that's what I'm working on right now.
And I've been
recording. John's working on taking his shirt off on camera.
Actually, the main thing I've been working on this week is in 4 days, I've recorded 40 chapters of the audio version of my book.
Oh, wow.
So I'm almost done. It's 60 chapters total. So I'm hoping by maybe like Monday, I'll have the whole thing done. And then we'll be looking for a video or an audio editor to do the audio editing. And then we'll be putting it out on Amazon ACX, and we'll be handing it off to our Dreamscape partners for distribution, and then possibly Skillsoft, I think, because they want to license it too. So, so this will be good. We've got a lot of big things in the oven.
Yeah.
Nice. You want to hear John's voice more? Right?
Apparently they do.
Apparently. I've been really surprised though with like Skillsoft as a sponsor, because Rodrigo's been doing awesome. He's been handing them the videos and like the podcast and grouping that up. But like one of them that he gave them was, I mean, and a lot of them are like this, right? I mean, one of them was I'm a fucking bulldog, right? And I mean, I think they said, oh, that one had too much fuck in it, so we'll have to like. But then the lady was like, but I really liked it, or so I can't remember. She said something about, and so I'm like, there's this really very like buttoned up corporate kind of company, like, and I'm almost like I'm shocked that they're like, because at first I was like, maybe they haven't seen my videos. Like I've got a video coming out, I think later this week, called my penis is too small, right? Like, someone emailed me this, right? And this is the kind of, I mean, you guys know the content that I make, right? So I'm like, I'm thinking like, have they not seen this? Like, but they have, because obviously, right? So with that one, so I don't know. Apparently,
yeah, we keep waiting for the other shoe to drop on this one. Like John and I have been joking about how this is going to explode spectacularly. Like it'll be out for a week. And it'll be like a glorious week, right? And then somebody somewhere, then it'll just blow up and be a huge. And we're gonna end up on the Drudge Report or something.
Right,
that's funny.
Someone's gonna be like, "Do you realize this guy's not politically correct? Like, what? He's not politically correct? Are you crazy?" But,
oh man.
Anyway, but because I mean, one of my like core principles, like that I just will never violate, is I will never ever bow to a sponsor. I won't. I just, no matter what, I don't care what's on the line. I am not going to compromise what I'm saying or in any way change my message because it's unfriendly, to a sponsor. Like, so, it's not that I like, I don't have any animosity. I love that we have sponsors. That's great. But they just have to take it as it is. So,
Yep. Awesome.
So what's up, Chuck?
What's up, Chuck?
Yeah, what do you
definition? I'm just kidding. So this week has been kind of weird just because I've been doing the Ruby Dev Summit. Just to give a little bit of context, Angular Dev Summit had 780 people sign up.
Oh, wow.
Between the free and the paid. Ruby Dev Summit had 1,514 people.
Holy cow.
Wow.
The paid and the free. And
what was the split?
So 83 people signed up for paid tickets. Now, I've also got a company that paid for their last 4 tickets with through an invoice.
Okay.
And then
it's about 5% ish, or a little bit more than that, maybe. Yeah. That's good.
So anyway, it's been fun just to kind of see here, but it's about 5%, I think, signed up for the all access passes. And what I'm figuring out here with a lot of this is that what I need to be doing is I need to actually start promoting it sooner, I think, because I had a lot of people signing up, as they found out about it for the all access passes.
Right. So one thing, John and I last week were looking at Grant Cardone and his funnel. And so I signed up I think we both signed up for his email list, which he advertises as a tip of the week, and then you get something every day. So that's the way to do it. But one of the things that John forwarded over was when you sign up, this was when you sign up for one of his conferences, he immediately upsells you on last year's videos.
Yeah.
So it was like I don't know, maybe $200 or something to get all last year's videos. So it was like kind of like, make sure you're prepared for this year by watching all of last year. So that would be something that you could do.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's a good one too, because the way that you couch it is, and he did it as, make sure you're prepared. Like, here's what you need to do to prepare for this year. Like, you've got excitement about this year, and it's like, this is what you need to do. This is the first thing you need to do to prepare is, go first book your hotel room and
send me more money.
Right.
And then watch the videos from last year. So I think that's definitely a good way to go.
Nice.
Especially if I don't know how much of your content is on these things is evergreen, but I imagine a lot of it is pretty.
A lot of it is. Almost all of it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some of it, some of it's about like machine learning and stuff, and things like that, at least for the Ruby conference. But it's still, it's still like basic stuff. So, and Ruby's not changing so much that it won't be relevant next year.
Right.
So a lot of it's pretty spot on. The other thing is like the Ruby community isn't pushing forward as hard or as fast. And so, yeah, just about anything you would cover in Ruby, unless you're talking about Rails. Rails releases a new version every year or so. So that could get outdated, but just about everything else. And most of that stuff, even the Rails stuff was, here's how we're doing this in Rails. And, it's essentially, you're plugging something up in Rails and it would work fine with future versions.
90% of it will still be relevant in 3 years.
Yep. So I'm pretty happy with that. What's funny is that the two big speakers are on Monday. And so I could conceivably see people still signing up.
Nice.
Oh, I see. Yep.
Yep. So anyway, but yeah. And then about 20 of the recurring the all access passes were the speakers. So probably 70 people bought tickets, like paid for tickets.
Okay.
So yeah, so I'm pretty happy with it. Like, like we said, and 70 people out of 1,500 is, I think that's about 5%.
The big thing too is I think for you is to take, because you've got, you said you had 1,500 people sign up for the Ruby one. And you said 70, 80 people bought passes.
Yeah.
So you've got that other, the 1,400 that didn't. Next year, like these are the people that you target really hard with buying the all access pass next year, right? Because they've already signed up, they already have interest, this, so you can make it valuable to them. They've already seen the value of it. And so you just have to figure out what is it that makes someone say, hey, I signed up for the free one last year, but it's totally worth it for me to sign up for the paid one this year. So what's the gap that, what makes them cross that chasm? That's the question. But if you can figure that out, that's the perfect audience to sell to. And then you can just keep on rolling that up. You know what I mean? And then you've got this system where then it makes a lot of sense getting all these people in free, because then that you're going to monetize them next year, hopefully. So
yeah. Well, the other thing is that, first of all, if I have lead time, and I'm just bringing this up because I mentioned it before, if I have the lead time, then I can get people to share it. The other thing is now I have a list of 1,500 people next year, so that when I announce, a few weeks or a few months ahead, I can say, hey, go make sure you have a ticket, and then go make sure that all of your friends have a ticket, because remember, it's free.
Yeah.
And, and then I can market to them for their friends for a few months and see if I can get their friends on board. And so it all kind of compounds. I think this year I'm set up pretty nicely to pull the trigger on next year. The other thing is that I'm going to be doing, I think, a React one in like the probably beginning to middle of February, and a JavaScript one in March or April.
Yeah.
And the React one, the Angular list, some of those folks are going to be interested in React. Most won't, but they should be pretty interested in the JavaScript one. And I can also promote the JavaScript conference after the React conference. So again, I can kind of use this to kind of pile on. And so by the time it's all done, I can say, hey, look, you signed up for a remote or a dev summit. I'm only going to email you a couple of times about it, unless, you're the core audience that came to the last one for that topic. And, and just say, hey, look, if you liked the dev summit that I did last time and you're interested in React, because some Rubyists will be, and some, general JavaScript folks will be, then I can push that. I've also gotten some feedback on the website and things like that, some things that I could do to make it easier for people to find the information they want so they can sign up. So I know some of the things I'm going to change. I'm probably just going to find somebody who can modify the theme that I've got and just have them fix those couple of things. So,
you know, you might experiment with too, like for the biggest ones, because you've kind of got like this little hatching ground here. And so if you know, like for a big one, I mean, Ruby seems like it might be, maybe you actually do a real in-person live conference for the Ruby one, because you've got enough people, you know what I mean? You've got enough momentum, but it's a good way to experience. Like a lot of people set up conferences and they don't know that they're actually going to be able to sell enough tickets or that's going to be worth it.
Yeah.
Right. But you've got sort of a hatching ground here where you can sort of test it out and you know which ones might make sense to do a live thing or.
Yeah.
I think so.
So one thought, Chuck, this is not directly related to what we're talking. But I think this is your product. Like whenever you like, don't feel bad about like not having courses and doing the info. Like this to me is like the most natural thing that you could do with your podcast empire, and they're kind of synergistic versus like if you're you know, like if you're looking to put together specific courses, that's kind of a different business, but these like feed each other.
Yeah, that's true.
So I would just encourage you to like, I think this is working really well.
Yeah.
The other thing would be, can you, I mean, and maybe you're already doing this, but like with the Ruby one, maybe,
yeah, the only issue that I have, just to bring it back around for a minute, so I just pulled up Stripe to look at the total, and so I've made about $5,000 on this conference, or I brought in about $5,000, and I don't know, I don't know if it's enough to just make it, you know, worth it. And I know that next year will probably be bigger, but is it going to be bigger enough?
Right. I think there's a lot you can do with that you're not yet doing with that to make it like, you know, how you're using previous year's videos.
Right.
Like, it's not just a live event, it's also all this content you've created and what you do with it. Like, I think that's where you can take that and increase it a lot.
Right.
But like the do you have like, so what do you have around within the Ruby world other than the Ruby conference that got the most attention, and are there some follow-on conferences that would make sense for you to do where you can bring a ton of people in from like a really general, like Ruby is like a really high level umbrella topic, which is why you got 1,500 signups. Would it make sense then to do some smaller ones that you could sell to that same audience? Or you may already be doing that.
I don't know. I mean, I could probably pull together a Rails conference, but
do you not feel like that would be worth the work?
I don't know. I mean, again, you know, if it's for $5,000, I don't know. And so this one and the last one, I also told the speakers that I was going to split the profit with them. I was going to give them a cut of the ticket sales. And so that cuts into that. Like, I don't even get to keep all $5,000.
I wonder, here's another idea. Okay, since your stuff is so niche and focused, what if you had like an after sale after what if the conference was a sort of gateway into private mastermind group with some of the speakers, right? And then you charged a pretty high premium for that, and you got on board with the speakers essentially and offered them a cut of it. But you see what I'm saying? Like, and maybe you only have like 12 slots, and then it's like a 3-month program afterwards, and you just basically facilitate it, and you have the the speakers that are these experts, like, you know, you get one-on-one, like 12 people get their questions answered and get to personally be coached by these speakers. That might be something that would make that make a bigger ticket price and make it a lot more profitable. And then you won't have to do much because the speakers are the ones who are really doing the work there.
Maybe. I'm not quite sure how that would be structured. One thing that Jamie told me to do with the Angular videos, and I didn't do it just because I couldn't quite pull enough stuff together, was she actually mentioned that I should pull together a bundle. And so it's, because I've got some of these speakers have courses and books and things. And so, it's like, hey, you get these courses and these books and and I got some, but I didn't get quite as many as I would have liked. And I felt like it's like, okay, you get the conference videos and you get these 2 or 3 other courses, and feel like that was quite enough to have like a knock it out of the park bundle for people to buy. So,
right.
I don't know.
You could also expand your circle out and not just. Was it only speakers that you were?
No, I reached out to a few other people with the Angular stuff, and if we're if we're having an honest conversation here, there are probably other people that I could reach out to that have general programming stuff that I could sell. I mean, I could talk to you guys maybe about putting in your ebook or something, or I don't know, coupon code for that, or one of your other products or things like that. But I kind of got stuck the last week or two, just kind of heads down working on this project and the podcast sponsorship thing. So,
do you sell the videos afterwards?
They're up and available for sale afterwards, yeah. But they're I raised the price a couple of times, so by the end of the conference, they're pretty expensive.
You mean a hell of a value?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's a better value if you buy it before the conference.
Yeah.
Right. So. What is the pricing? How does the pricing go?
So the way that I've done the last one and this one is that before the conference, it's $97.
Okay.
For the all access pass. And then once the conference starts, it goes to $197. And people still seem pretty willing to buy it at $197.
Mm-hmm.
And then about halfway through the conference, or toward the end of the conference, I raise it again to $497, and nobody buys it for $497.
Right.
And I think I have a price anchoring issue there. If I wanted them to buy it at $497, I just think they're looking at it and going, "Oh well, I could have gotten it for $97. It's not worth."
You need to have like a buy every conference I've ever done option that's like $47,000.
That might be interesting to do, right? Because I do have the videos for the newbie remote conf that I did in the summer.
Yeah.
I did a JavaScript conference earlier this year, and so I could pull together the whole bundle and just say, hey, look, do you want the whole thing?
Well, the only problem with that is that's too much content. Like no one can like that. I mean, most people don't consume content that they buy, but it's like, you
don't want to make that obvious up front. Like,
exactly.
Trust me, dude, you're never going to watch all this.
It might be better. Well, okay. So here's one thing about the price anchoring. When you sell the all access pass for $97, are you using the $497 price to sell the $97? Because if not, then forget the $497 price. Like the only reason to have the $497 price is so that you can say on this date, it goes to $497, baby, and that's what I do. That will sell you $97 passes, and it'll sell you $197. But if you don't have that, there's no reason at all to make the $497 price. If you either go 2 ways with this, either you make the $497 the hard. I'm changing the price at $497, and when you sell the $97 and the $197, your sales pitch is your entire sales strategy is it goes to $497 on this date, so you better get it now. Yeah. Or your other second possible strategy is to drop the $497 and actually discount it after the thing, because these people haven't bought. It's no longer live. Now you can get it. You can get the recordings for a cheaper price. So I would go one of those 2 ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think like the value goes down after the conference because the all access, like, the value, I mean, Grant Cardone's a good example, right? He's selling, John, did you buy a seat? You paid like couple $1,000, right?
No, I paid $500,
okay,
but for an $8,000 seat.
But yeah,
right.
And
See,
then
this is his sales.
Then he offered the videos from last year for $197.
Right. Okay.
So the value, yeah, because like the value of the event is that it's an event, and after the event, then you lose out on the benefits of it being live. So the price should be
right.
If you want to actually make sales, the price should be lower. But you might consider going. Maybe your pricing is early bird $47, $49, whatever. Then it goes to $99. Then it goes to $199 because you're making sales at $199, right?
Right.
And the $199 should be like the last couple days before the event, because then you still got the, hey, by the way, this is happening.
Right.
You got that sledgehammer of like, this is going to happen. This event is the train's leaving the station. And then after that, you can sell them separately for a lower price.
Okay, that makes sense.
And actually make some sales with it. And you might want to set it up. So I don't know, John, maybe you can chime in on this, but you might want to set it up so that it's not immediately obvious from your site that you can still get those videos. So you basically sell it through email, and like maybe you change the sales page to like basically sold out, right?
Right.
I don't know. You could play with that because you might make a few sales if you just have it up and like people can click buy now. But I don't know. If you can say, hey, this isn't really available on the site, but for right now, I would let you have this. It gives you periodically give people a chance to buy it versus just having it out there.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I mean, this is the other thing too. I think, Chuck, like you said, I mean, this is something that like you're going to continue to grow this. You're going to grow the conferences. They'll be bigger every year. So I think this is, even if you're not making a lot of cash now, this is about the long term. And it's also synergistic, because the more conferences that you have, the more you can cross promote them, the more that this becomes the bigger thing. Like if you become the dominant player in this space, which you should be able to do because you have more conferences than anyone else, or you will online, then you're going to make the money in the space. Your focus really should be on becoming the dominant player, and then having the good strategy for making the money off of it. The other thing too that I think that you've got to figure out something. I mean, obviously, like, how do you make money from these conferences? You make them from the ticket sales, or if it's a free conference, not necessarily but maybe an upgraded ticket sale, from the video replays, which is like the all access pass, if I understand correctly. You make money from workshops. That's how live conferences make money. So workshops with the speaker, where you split so you have like a day before or a day after where you have workshops that people pay for, and then the speakers make money and you make money off of that. And then you make money from sponsorships. So you've just got to make sure that you've got as many of the pieces, and maybe there's other ways that you maybe you have affiliate deals as well as you make money. But once you've got all of, you're maximizing that, then it's just, however big the audience grows, that's how big your profits grow on it. So yeah, I just think it's just a matter of time and just continuing to do this, and just figuring out, like, keep on adding the revenue streams to it, and figuring out how to tweak it. Like we said, like, I mean, right there's a huge opportunity. If you just make the one change with the all access pass and change the way that you're marketing that, I think that will make a huge difference.
Right.
Another way to look at this too is that you got paid $5,000 to add 1,500 people to your email list.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, usually it is the opposite of that. So I mean, like, to be able to buy email subscribers for $3 would be a deal. You got paid $3 to get them on your list. So that's pretty huge.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. The other thing that I have in the works that I just haven't had time to really nail down is just this podcasting sponsorship app.
Oh yeah.
I'm so close. I mean, at this point, the sponsor can sign up. They can go to the podcast page. They can select the sponsorship spots they want. It collects the money through Stripe, adds all the stuff to their account, and now it's just, it's just the sponsorship management piece. I mean, I'm so close, but I've just been so tired and then spending all my time putting this conference on. It's just been crazy.
What's left? Like, what's left to wire? So the management part, what does that look like?
I mean, essentially, it's a couple hours work, if we're being honest. And basically, what it is give us the talking points or the sponsorship read script, upload the banners, manage any brands you have, which essentially at this point is a logo and a name. And so then you attach the sponsorship you bought to a brand. And if you only have one brand, it's just going to auto attach it. And then there are like one or two other things. You have to put the links in, right? So it's, this banner goes to this link and this banner goes to this link, so you can set up UTM params, or they can just both go to the same place or whatever. But that's pretty much it. So, yeah, I'm sure that there are complications with payments and refunds and crap that I don't have yet. And I would eventually like to get the reporting piece in, but I mean, that's not necessary at this point because I don't have it now.
Right.
So I don't feel like it's it's not a have to have. It's a, anyway. So, but yeah, I'm just exhausted at this point because I've just pushed so hard on this stuff and, anyway. But yeah, if I can get this summit stuff to drop and just make it all work. I mean, I see the potential there. And the other thing is that I've kind of by the seat of my pants the last two, and I made $3,000 on the last one and $5,000 on this one. Minus whatever I wind up doling out to the speakers. But
I think that would be the first thing to look at cutting, honestly. Do you really feel like, I mean, you're giving them a lot of exposure. I feel like that's plenty of compensation.
My thinking was on this that I didn't know how much it was going to bring in. And so I, and some of the speakers were like, well, you're asking us to speak for free. But I mean, at this point,
is there any shortage of people who are willing to speak for free?
No, that's what I'm finding. So I think I'm going to drop it this next time around and just see who I can get to come speak. The other thing is like a lot of the conferences that hand out honorariums, they hand them out and it kind of covers the hotel.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't even cover the full cost of the conference. And so if somebody says you're asking me to speak for free, I'm going to say, I'll basically point that out and say, look, most honorariums, unless you're the keynote speaker, where you're actually collecting a real speaking fee.
So here's one way to do this, which I think is beneficial on two accounts. Offer the speakers that any revenue that they bring in, any tickets they sell, give them their own link or affiliate, right? Set up as affiliate and give them 50% of whatever they. So the whole idea behind this is just to get them to promote to their audiences. So what this does is it allows you to pay the speakers that actually bring you money and not the ones that don't, right? So
I can set up affiliate. Yeah. And just say, look, you get 50% of whatever you bring.
And then this also makes them promote their appearance, whereas I think a lot of speakers probably don't promote their appearance, and then if their promotion is worthless, they don't get it. Doesn't matter, right? So and if it is worth something, then then they get a cut on it. So I would do something like that.
That sounds merit-based and elitist, John.
That's why we like John.
Wait a minute, you forgot my last part of this, Josh. I wasn't done yet. So after it's all done, then you take all the money from all the speakers, Okay. And then you find out which speakers, you ask them all what their salaries are, and whoever is making the least amount of money, that's who gets all of the money.
There you go.
No, that's who gets a kick in the rear end. You get a better job, dude. Oh, I don't want to be sexist or do that. But yeah, no, I like it. I like that a lot.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I mean with some tweaks to what you're doing here, I think you could definitely get a much better ROI. And in the meantime, this is very, very synergistic with what the other stuff that you're working on. And it's something that you can sell to sponsors, like John said. So it would also be interesting to potentially take the content and not sell it as, could you stitch pieces of it together into like take 5 years worth, or however many years you have worth of conferences, and pull out topical videos that are still relevant and package it differently. So it's not, it's like, yeah, it's still conference talks, but it's not like the, you know,
that
like
could be interesting.
Ruby Dev Summit, like, you know, once that's over, then you don't really care so much about it because it's an event. But if you had like, you know, advanced testing in Rails or something like that, and you could package it up and sell it that way, that might actually move some videos for you.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, what outcomes can you, like, how can you package the content to provide outcomes versus just like watch the videos from this event?
Yeah, the other thing that I could do is I'm kind of, you know, you were talking about memberships, and I don't know if I want to do like a monthly membership or whatever, but, you know, basically have like a full conference access that gives you access to all of the talks that have been given at any of the conferences.
Hadn't you tried that, or is it
no, I never did.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that would make sense. It would probably be more of a corporate sale.
Yeah, probably.
In a lot of cases.
Well, MemberPress has a corporate plugin. And the other thing is I can just sell the membership, and
you might as well stick it out there, because you might only sell a few of them, but I bet you if you had it out there, you'd sell a few.
Yeah, the other thing that's interesting about it is that I'm just trying to think through it. I mean, I don't do one of these every month, and so if I had some kind of monthly fee, I don't know. I keep thinking too, though, that, you know, you talked about the workshops, and I'm thinking about that too, and just trying to figure out if there's a way to, you know, so that if you have the subscription, then, you know, some of that subscription money goes to paying for people to come to a workshop, right? And so it's hey, look, you know, I'll pay you, you know, couple $1,000 to come for 3 or 4 hours and do a workshop on whatever. And, you know, and yeah, so it cuts into my money for that month or whatever. But, you know, the flip side of it is that I get a stronger and stronger offering. And then I can also sell just one-off access to the workshop. In fact, that's essentially what Front End Masters does anyway.
How so? Like they're selling.
So they do workshops. They do in-person workshops, which I could also set up, I guess. But you can actually, a certain number of people on their list get access to the live stream.
Okay.
And then they record the videos, and they, you know, you pay for a membership that gets you access to those videos. And this wouldn't be all that different. The difference would be that this one is, you know, it's all online. It's 100% online. You know, so the workshop doesn't have anybody in person.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you could consider having like some kind of one, like basically, I would probably do this annually, like make it a once a year payment versus monthly.
Yeah.
But yeah,
like
you get access to all the conferences, and you get access to all the previous conferences. You just have to price it so that figure out what your customer value is, and then price it higher. So if they buy it once, you're making money.
Yeah.
Don't want to price it so that you're losing money if they buy it.
I don't know if I have a good way to figure that out. Definitely interesting. The other thing is that, I now have at this point, 2,000 or so people that have come to one of these summits. And so I could set the summit up as essentially a lead magnet for a lot of this stuff, right? It's come to the live event, and then, you know what, all these videos, if you bought an all access pass, here's a coupon, right? You get that as credit toward your membership if you want it. And those are kind of the prime people to sell to, because they're already willing to plunk down money.
Right.
And then everybody else is like, it's like, hey, if you missed any of the talks, and you're thinking about, gee, I wish I'd bought that all access pass. Well, get it for all of this stuff. And then, you can see all the talks on everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I like that. You could actually even heavily discount it to those people if they don't take you up on the offer too.
Yeah.
Because then you can offer them a huge amount of value for a small price.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. Stuff to think about.
Cool. Keep digging this gold vein.
Yes.
Yeah. One other thing I'll just tell you guys is that Jamie has actually been encouraging me to make courses, which is funny because you guys are telling me not
to. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I'm sticking to my guns on this one. I think your secret sauce, like your primary value is being that like podcast network, this whole thing, and you need to grow the audience. Is the more that you do this, the better off that you'll be. Yes, courses could make you some money. It's not your primary thing. It's not the
So I was at the mastermind this week. There's a guy named Charlie he owns a shop and he does custom cabinetry. I actually talked to him and told him about you and about the advice we've been giving you. So now I'll tell you about his situation. So he owns this cabinetry shop, and he does like really high end, handcrafted cabinetry for custom homes.
Mm-hmm.
And he keeps talking about, so like a couple times now, he's talked about how he wants to have like the secondary revenue stream where he's doing like furniture, like, handcrafted furniture. And he's like, well, we have all this like scrap wood, and it's really easy to kind of put together, and it would be a good secondary revenue stream and keep the shop busy. And I'm like, look, okay, your business is selling high-end, high-ticket items to people willing to spend a lot of money, and you're selling B2B basically to architects and designers. So if you want to go this furniture route, you're getting into a completely different business that you don't really have a lot of experience in. And so there's a huge amount of cost there. Like, he doesn't even have a website right now. I'm like, you're not ready to become an e-commerce business. Trust me. I mean, this is what I do. It's like, it's like switching shopping carts is like a huge major project. Like, you're not ready to be an e-commerce business. And plus it's like, it's just a different world. Like, you're going to be competing against people that have literally, like, he's one of the products he wants to sell online is cutting boards. Well, there's companies that have been making cutting boards for 150 years, and that's all they do. Mm-hmm. Like, you're going to be going to a knife fight or a gunfight with a knife, and it's going to take, it's not as easy as just creating furniture or creating courses. Like, it's a whole different business that you have to learn. Yeah. And that's not to say that you can't do it, but there's a lot more to it than just putting together a product and getting it out there.
Right. No, that makes sense.
And so that's really, it's like, just recognize if you're going to do it, you're basically going into a new business. You're not starting from 0, but you're starting from, you know, on a scale of 1 to 100, maybe you're starting from 3.
Right.
And so before you really get to anywhere near to where you are now, you've got 2 or 3 years probably of learning ahead of you. That's all.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, the other thing though is that, and this is something that everybody I talk to about business kind of universally agrees about my situation, is that my primary focus has to be getting this sponsorship crap down. Yep. And so, you know, this is the, okay, so, you know, when I get downtime from writing code, you know, I can't look at Emacs crossways anymore. You know, and so I whip out Drip and I start writing emails to do marketing. What am I selling? And so that's what this other thing is, you know, whether it's a course or, you know, or the conferences or whatever.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would be thinking about, rather than thinking about courses, I would be thinking about content, how you can repackage content and make it more valuable. So we're talking about, an idea we've been wanting to do for a long time is take John's YouTube videos, group them by topic, and then have a writer go through and write them into a short Kindle book that we can sell. And then John can record the audio version of that. And we'll have like a new product with very, you know, relatively low effort.
Right.
So I'd be looking like selling digital products and creating courses are not necessarily the same thing.
Right. Yeah, that's another thing that I've thought about is, you know, like having the weekly workshop or weekly worksheet club or something, right? Where, you know, every Ruby Rogues episode has an accompanying worksheet, and so you pay $5 a month to get that or something like that. Because the content's there, the discussion's there, and these are all the action steps out of it.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And so, yeah, you know, repurposing content. Yeah, I could pay somebody to make up a lot of those worksheets.
Exactly. Yeah. Anything that you can do to, you know, anything that's a multiplier, right? You need multipliers, right? If you add more podcasts, you multiply the revenue from sponsorships.
Right. All the effort that I put into systemizing it, I get back.
If you add better sponsorships, you multiply the revenue from podcasts. Right. So if you create content from your existing content, you multiply the revenue from your audience, from your podcast. So and if you create more podcasts, you multiply the revenue from your conferences, from your summits, right? All of these things I think are synergistic. Whereas if you create courses, it's not really a multiplier. It's not like it's a new thing. So I mean, I think, you know, again, you know, I've said it before, but I think once you get the system down and you've got the sponsorship stuff handled and whatnot, then I think your best bet is to just like say, okay, how can I spin up a new podcast every X number of months? And some of them die, and that's fine, but some of them catch on, and like the more of those you get going, it's a straight multiple. I mean, think of it this way. Here's just a simple of it. If you got to the point where you doubled the amount of podcasts that you have, I won't say podcasts, of podcast audience, right?
Yes. If I doubled the audience, I double my sponsorship revenue.
Right. And maybe even more than double it, because I think there'll be a synergistic effect. So that's the quickest way to get to where you want to go. That's the quickest way. That's the best way to make money for you right now, is just because it's a one, you know, that if you have more podcasts, if you have more viewership, if you have more podcast downloads, essentially, it equals more money for you. And it's something you can directly control. If you launch more podcasts, you know that you will get more podcast downloads. It's like there's no question about this. So, you know, get the stuff set up with the automated for the sponsorship, so that you can and clear the runway, get all the bumps out of the runway as much as possible. And then once you've got that ready to go, then fucking just start sending the planes down the runway, podcast, and get that system into place. And then that's how you get to where you want to get.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. That's kind of the vision that I have in my head. So
Yeah, and like the other thing too is that you have to, like, sometimes advice is good, but not for where you are.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you were coming to me and you had an email list of 300 people and no audience, and you didn't have this podcasting empire, I'd be like, yeah, you need to like just start blogging about some well-known problem that everybody has and build a course around it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that's your fastest path to success. But for you, I that's just not.
Yeah.
Right.
You're so far down the path on this one route that it makes sense to just keep going with it.
Yeah.
So it's good to get advice from both angles, though.
Even if you disagree with some of it.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, if we disagree, we can't be friends. That's the way the world works now, right?
No, if we disagree, you're fucking wrong and you're a bad person.
Oh, that's right.
And I may call you Hitler.
Yes, you're not human anymore. So, oh man. All right, shall we do our thoughts for the week?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I don't know. For me, it's just, I mean, just take a break when you need one. Go do something fun. Go do something interesting. Go learn something that you've been wanting to learn. I don't have anything deeper than that. Sorry.
I got a reoccurring question that's been coming up to me that people have been asking me that I thought so people have been asking recently, how are you not afraid of failure? How do you avoid the fear of failure? How do you overcome the fear of failure? And for me, the answer is, well, I'll give you an example. So I just enrolled I'm doing Muay Thai kickboxing class. Right?
Oh, nice. Nice.
And it was either that or yoga. I went with the Muay Thai. So I've done a lot of.
Got it.
I've done a lot of like karate and Okinawa Kempo and Taekwondo in the past. And Muay Thai kickboxing is a lot different, right? I mean, you don't have a horse stance, like you square up. It's boxing, right? It's you kick differently. Everything is different. And so a lot of those skills are not transferable, not directly transferable, right? So it's like I don't know how to really throw a kick or even the proper punch, in this. And but here's what I know, right? So I'm not worried about that shit at all. I'm not even concerned to the slightest bit because I know that if I show up 3 times a week and I do my best every single time that I show up, in a year I'll be fucking good. Like there's just no question that I'll be good, right? And so I realized that like a lot of my life is basically like that. Like I think that if you fear failure, it's like you just want people who fear failure want the outcome. And that, again, it comes back to that whole trusting the process. They don't trust the process. They want the thing. And so it's like, a couple examples of this. Like I don't want to just have the perfect physique. I want to have earned the perfect. I want to be capable of producing the physique. I don't want to have $1 million dropped into my lap. I want to be capable of creating $1 million. I don't want to, whatever it is, I don't want the thing. I want I want the ability to be able to do that, right? I don't want a one-time success. I don't want, to get lucky. I guess that's what I'm saying. As I want to have the ability to become the person who has that ability. And so thinking in those terms, I don't fear failure because failure is like part of that process. Like failure tells me, it's a feedback mechanism that tells me that I'm not quite there developmentally yet, right? And so I actually kind of welcome it. Like when I go to the kickboxing class and it's like I can't do some of this stuff, I'm like, that's great because that means I can grow and I can expand, right? So that failure is actually something that I'm not even really paying attention. I'm just thinking about what is the process that is going to get me to where I'm going, and I'm just thinking about if I just continually do that process, I will get there. And it doesn't matter if it takes 50 failures on the way or 100 or 1 or whatever. That it's so irrelevant to the point. But if you're just focused on the result and you just want the thing, if you just want the cash, give me the cash, just give me the result, then failure is like a all or nothing thing. Then it's like, if I failed, I failed. Whereas if it's the focus on the process, it doesn't matter. So just something to think about in terms of, because I was really trying to like say, well, why do I not care if I fail? And to me, because it's like I said, it's because I'm more concerned with being the person capable of producing the result, not the result.
Right.
Nice. I'm going to do an email about that next week.
I have a recording actually.
Oh, a video already, or
just the audio? Because I've been trying. Well, we've got a video now too, but I was trying to. I bought I haven't been using it, but I'm trying to record conversations that I have, because when people, like, just in my daily life, when people ask me questions. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, like the theme for this week was just the value of getting away, getting clear. A chance to clear your head and focus on really thinking about some of the core issues that you're trying to solve, versus just being stuck in the day-to-day grind. Mm-hmm. And like for me, it was kind of a really helpful big revelation, just to realize, like, to really think about, okay, what as simple programmer, like what are our biggest strengths, and what do we really bring to the table better than anybody? And, and then how can I supplement that? How can I lean into that while also supplementing to supply some of the other stuff that our audience still wants, but allows us to focus on our real strengths. So sometimes, and for me, traveling is really, I need to travel to do that. Like if I try to do it at home, it's too easy to just get pulled right into my normal routine. Traveling like completely screws with my routine in a bad, can be a bad thing, but it also helps to get me out of the routine, and lets me think in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. Well, that's a wrap, guys. See you next week.
All righty.
All right. Bye.
All right. Take care.
Wanna start a business, but you just know how to code. Listen to John, Josh, and Derek as we figure it out. We are the Entre Programmers, and we'll teach you straight up to be developreneurs.